I typically do not sit and dream about what that next step is. I think about how can I make an impact today? What are my opportunities today to make a difference in the lives of the young people that we serve, make a difference within our department, and make a difference within our institution, our academic institution.
Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, a podcast about women who work in sports. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake. After 15 years of working for 3 major league teams, including the Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Chicago Cubs, I discovered the one thing I loved the most was helping women in sports shatter glass ceilings and take their seat at the table. I loved it so much that I made a business out of it. I have the honor of coaching high-performing women in the sports and entertainment industry and supporting them as they go after exactly what they want in their career. So if you are feeling tired of waiting on the sidelines, done being overlooked for promotions, and you're ready to pull ahead of the pack and take your career to the next level, girl, I'm here for it. I also created the Game of Her Own podcast to support you as well. We are here to share the stories of incredible women who work in sports and entertainment. These leaders and trailblazers will inspire you with their success and the lessons they've learned along the way to the top. Ladies, there is nothing like women empowering women. I am so honored you're here.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about what's next? What your next move is going to be in your career? I was always guilty of that. My next guest, Charmelle Green, tells us how and why she has always believed in living in the moment and leading from where she is. And given her success of recently being named Deputy Athletics Director and Chief Operating Officer at the University of Utah, her living in the moment approach is working. Don't miss this great conversation with Charmelle, where she shares some absolute gems about leadership, trusting the process, being in the present moment, and how to make a difference within your organization. All right, friends, let's do this. Charmelle, welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast. I am so glad you're here.
Thank you so much, Jahaan, for having me. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you today.
Likewise. All right. Will you take us back in time and tell us, and I'm really excited about this after doing some research about how amazing of an athlete you are. Take us back in time and tell us when you first fell in love with sports.
Yeah, well, let me just go back and say how amazing I was. and no longer am I a great athlete. This body is broken. And I appreciate the compliments. Sport has always been a part of my family's life. My brothers, I'm the youngest of 6. My brothers and sisters all competed in sport at some point in time in their lives. And even my parents both coached, and my mother played tackle football and in the women's adult league. And so I grew up in an environment where sport was very prominent in our lives, and competition was something that we really got excited for. And we just loved sport, watching it, playing it, and even competition amongst each other. It was just something that was prevalent in our family.
Okay, you just said your mother played tackle football.
Yes, she did. Yes. When I was a youngster, my father used to cart us to my mother's football games, and she played, in a women's league and was one of the star athletes. And it was something that I was incredibly proud of, a mother that really desired to compete at a very high level. And, when she was young, sports for women was not something that was supported. Widely supported. And so it wasn't until her later years that she grew a fondness for sport and competition and looked for opportunities to be able to compete. And then she certainly, allowed us, her daughters, to do the same. Our entire family participated in track and field. I was at a very early age. I was only 6 when my mom threw me out there on the track and field team, and I competed. Didn't know what I was doing, certainly, but I was out there with my siblings competing on the weekends in track and field, and just along the way, just grew a love for competition and sport.
That's so incredible. I'm just like picturing my mother trying to play tackle football. That would not happen. That would not work. Even myself playing, that would not work. That's pretty incredible, especially when you rewind, into the time when your mother was doing that. women weren't supported at all, right? When it came to football, you were cheerleaders. That was it. That was your involvement in football.
That was it. And, my grandmother really pushed my mother towards the arts, right? That was something that was more feminine, more acceptable for women at the time. And when she and my father met, my father was, he loved sport and competed in sport and coached football and coached my brothers. And eventually, really drove me to compete and get involved in sport. And softball and basketball were the two sports that I really played at a high level. And I was offered scholarships in both, but chose to accept a scholarship to the University of Utah to play softball. That was the sport that I really loved and wanted to excel at a high level. And so softball became my sport, the sport that I love to play the most.
Wow, that's incredible. And when did you decide you wanted to work in sports? Because I know you coached some after college, but when did you decide you wanted to be on the business side of sports?
It took me a long time to make the decision to move into college athletics administration. I really wanted to coach for a long time. Worked at various institutions as an assistant coach and was offered a variety of head coaching jobs. But for whatever reason, I was inspired by the leadership that I was surrounded by at the University of Notre Dame. And I just got to thinking about how I can make a significant impact on the lives of young people. And I felt that while as a coach, I had the opportunity to impact a small few, the 19 to 23 student athletes that represent a softball program, administration would allow me to impact all student athletes. And so, I wanted to make a difference, and athletic administration was the avenue in which I could do that.
And tell everybody what you do now and who you do it for.
Yeah, so I recently accepted the job of Deputy Athletics Director and Chief Operating Officer at my alma mater, the University of Utah. It is an awesome responsibility in which I oversee all internal operations for the athletics department. Previously, I spent 10 years at Penn State University as the Senior Associate Athletic Director and Senior Woman Administrator, where I had oversight of all the health and wellness areas for student athletes. I had the opportunity to learn and grow from incredibly talented administrators like Sandy Barber, who serves as the Director of Athletics at Penn State, Kevin White, who serves as the Director of Athletics at Duke University, and many others who've just been an inspiration to me and really have helped me hone my skills as an athletic administrator, which has led me to serve in my current role under Mark Harlan, who is the athletics director here at the University of Utah.
Is this something you dreamed about, like having this role? Is this something like when you first, because you were at Notre Dame when you resigned from coaching and decided to move on into the administrative side full time, correct me if I'm wrong. And then, what were you thinking? Like, okay, what's next after this big picture? Where do I want to be?
I typically do not sit and dream about what that next step is. I think about how can I make an impact today? What are my opportunities today to make a difference in the lives of the young people that we serve, make a difference within our department, and make a difference within our institution, our academic institution. And so I'm always thinking about how can we get better today? And I've been fortunate that along the way, someone has been able to see the talent that I bring, and that has led to other opportunities, new interests, new opportunities to make a difference in a different way. To gain new responsibilities, new challenges. And so I try not to look too far ahead, because then I believe that leads to me not being able to make a difference in the moment. I certainly have dreams and aspirations and how I want to do my job, the role that I have today. I constantly evaluate how can we get better, and then try to figure out what are the ways in which we can make progress, achieve our goals, achieve our aspirations. But, again, getting too far out in front, I might miss something if I'm looking too far ahead. And I don't want to miss an opportunity to be great today.
Ooh, I like that. So, I find in some, and I don't want to generalize here, but I often do that on this podcast, but sometimes people find it difficult to stay in the moment, and because they're always thinking about what's next and wanting to grow and stretch. And there's just so many things that distract you. How did you stay focused early in your career on staying in that present moment?
I think that's probably what I learned in playing sports, and playing softball at a high level. It is every at bat must matter. Every out must matter. And so if I'm, getting too far ahead and I'm not thinking about making that catch or swinging at that strike or making that at bat the best at bat, then I might not get that second opportunity. I might not get up again. The game might be over and there isn't another chance to make an out. And so I think that's what I really learned from playing sport at a high level is that, living in the moment is so important because you may not get a second chance. I certainly have taken the skills that I've learned as an elite athlete and applied those skills to my job, and things work out. I could honestly say when I moved into athletics administration, I wasn't thinking about being, the deputy athletics director, chief operating officer at the University of Utah. It happened because I was able to stay focused in my roles and really do the very best job that I could do at the time. And Mark saw in me a talent that he wanted to bring back to the University of Utah to really help live out the goals and his aspirations for this department.
Wow. So Mark's the current AD, correct?
Yes.
Okay, at Utah. So he saw what you were doing really across the country. Is that right?
Yeah, I think what he saw is that the role that I had at Penn State and what I was able to achieve in that role was something pretty special. And he thought, okay, whatever that is, I would like to bring Charmelle back and apply what she's been able to accomplish at Penn State, apply it in the internal operation areas of the department to get us functioning at a higher level, to get us communicating across disciplines, across units, to get us thinking about processes, protocols, and the way in which we go about our day-to-day operations, and really get us elevate our internal operations in the way that she has elevated the areas that she oversees at Penn State.
All right. So your work is speaking for itself across the country. And that's because, and you attribute that to you focusing on like living in the present moment. Right. And not thinking too far ahead. Obviously, you have to have goals and stuff, but just not getting too caught up in what's next.
That's exactly right. Every morning when I get up, I say to myself, how can you make a difference? What opportunities do you have today to make an impact? That's my conversation with myself every single morning. When I sit down with the student athlete to talk with the student, how can I make a difference in their life today? How can I impart knowledge on them that they take with them and it helps them become a better version of themselves today? When I think about my staff that have an influence on student athletes' lives, how can I help them grow, learn, and be at their very best today? And so I believe that my role is to inspire, to help develop, to help grow others while I'm doing the same for myself, right? And while others are helping me grow and learn. And I value every day the opportunity to make a difference and to be the best manager, the best supervisor that I could possibly be. Invest in people, because when you invest in people, the impact that they can have on so many, right? I can only get to so many people. I'm one person. But if we got multiple people who are inspired to make a difference, I mean, just think about the impact that we could have on the entire organization, not just on one person, but the entire organization. And so that's how I see my role as a supervisor. Our biggest investment should be in people.
Yeah. See, when you saying that, I'm like getting the chills. I wish that we worked together at some point in our careers. So how do you go about investing in your people and making sure that they're inspired? And leading a team always has its challenges. What advice would you give women who are listening, who are trying to inspire their team and it's not working for them? So what things should they be doing?
I would say, get to know them genuinely and authentically. most people aren't looking for that next big raise or that accolade or whatever. They just want to know that you care. And so for me, it's caring about them as humans, as people, understanding what their aspirations are and helping them get to where they want to go, listening intently and, showing that. I go back to that care piece. I don't want to sound redundant, but just really showing that you care.
One thing that's difficult about leading is having those difficult conversations and giving honest and fair feedback to your team. I imagine that you've had to have those, could have been on the receiving end or giving them throughout your career. How you seem like such a positive person, somebody who likes to inspire and motivate. So how did you have those conversations?
Yeah, that's my responsibility as a leader to have those tough conversations and to receive those tough conversations and be open to them. And I think it's just setting the standards, setting the table early on in those first conversations of expectations, communication styles, help me understand how you receive constructive criticism. Are you a processor? Understanding that one may be a processor and one needs answers right away. Let's just get it out on the table. And me adapting to what brings out the best in them. And first, I got to understand what that is. And so when I arrived at Utah, I set out to meet with every direct report, their direct reports, having one-on-one discussions with them. And my questions to them is, what are your goals, aspirations? What's your communication style? How would you like to receive information? Letting them know my communication style and how I lead as a supervisor and what my expectations are. And I think that when you set the expectations early on and you eliminate surprises, then people adapt. They welcome it. I also am very open in that the conversations that we have are important conversations, but that doesn't mean that's how I see them as human beings, as individuals. This is about excelling in the role. This isn't personal. This is us having conversations that are going to help us be better. And that's really differentiating and separating the personal from the professional and really making sure that there's no blended piece to that. And also being clear about what hat are you wearing. When I returned to the University of Utah, this is my alma mater. Obviously, throughout the years, I've built community here. There are individuals within this department who I've established friendships with. And so I was very clear in that when we come together, we have to be very clear in what hat we're wearing. So I made a promise to those individuals that when we're sitting down, I'm wearing the Charmelle Deputy Athletic Director hat or Charmelle the friend hat, and being very clear about what hat I'm wearing in that moment so that there's no blended, no confusion about where we are. And that when they leave, we're very clear about what that conversation was about. And we're not messing up the friendship because we need to be professional in that moment. So it's just being very clear in your standards, in the standards that you set.
Those are good. And does it ever get difficult? Is that ever challenging, wearing the two different hats and making sure you have to draw those lines?
Absolutely. It's because you forget, boundaries are hard to set for anybody. And you can forget about what those boundaries are and what you've agreed to, right? And so I typically am the one that's always reminding those individuals that, okay, let's be reminded about what we've agreed to in terms of our boundaries and what hat we're wearing in this moment. Because it is my job to be the leader that Mark Carlin brought me here to be. And my interest is the entire organization, not one piece of it. And so I have to make decisions that are in the best interest of the organization. And so being very clear in those standards and in those boundaries is really important for everyone's success.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, really what I hear you saying is leading isn't always going to be easy. And you're going to have those moments where you have to make those difficult decisions, but it's part of the job. It wasn't meant to be easy, right?
That's right. And it's probably on more occasions harder than easy, right? But college athletics presents such amazing opportunities, mean, we get to see young people thrive and be at their very best. We get to create opportunities for them to really hone their values, their skills, and launch them into the real world to excel at very high levels. And so if we don't demonstrate the type of leadership that they would then gravitate towards and really take those skills that you're teaching them and apply them into their everyday lives, and when they go out and they have to make decisions, then we're really selling them short, right? So if we keep the main thing, then I think we can eliminate that those difficult discussions become less difficult because we're not wavering in what we are here to do, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. I think complete sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I can rest easily in making those difficult decisions if I know it's in the best interest of the organization and the student athletes that we serve.
Yeah, right. It's that one or several, right, core standards or core principles that you are, or is really just kind of, it's almost like it's like your banner and you're marching behind that banner, right? Like, and everybody is on board with that. And it just helps to point towards that when something does go wrong and something is difficult. It's easy to kind of reset because you have a main focus of that, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And well said, much better said than I. And at the end of the day, I think when leaders are can feel good about difficult decisions made, it's always going back to what is our why? Why do we do what we do? What drives us? What's important to the organization?
Hey, Jahaan here. I hope you're enjoying the interview. I am sure you are thinking about your own career right now and how you can pull out in front of the pack to take your career to the next level. For 18 years, supporting women in sports has been my favorite part of my career, and I would love to support you. Whether it's joining my free Game of Her Own community or one of my one-on-one coaching programs, I am here for you. Send me a message at jblake@jahaanblake.com or DM me on Instagram at jahaanblake, and let's schedule a time to have a free session. I cannot wait to hear from you. All right, let's get back to why you're here.
I have to imagine during your career, I know your work has spoken for itself. Are there times when you felt like it wasn't, like your work wasn't speaking for itself and you had to sort of push to advocate for yourself and push to be seen and heard? Is there a time that you went through something like that?
Absolutely. I think until you're sitting in that head seat or you're your own boss, you're always faced with those moments of kind of where you may be lacking a little bit of confidence, or there's a lack of understanding of the vision or where you want to go. So every step of the way, along the way, I've been faced with those challenges. And a friend of mine, a great mentor, said, you know what, Charmelle, you lace up your boots, you put on your seatbelt, and you get driving. I always remember that during times of adversity and challenges, keep pressing forward. If you believe in what it is that you're doing, then those roadblocks, those adversities are not going to stop you from doing what you feel is best and from getting your message across and getting people on board and going in the direction that you want to go in. There are going to be naysayers. That is what it is. But if you are strong in your conviction and you're confident and you know that this is the right direction to go in, people will get on board. It just may not be as quickly as you would hope or want them to, but they will get on board.
Yes. I always say the naysayers are like, they're good practice.
Yeah.
Right? Like
I love that.
It's not going to be perfect. Like your career is not going to be as perfect as you probably, were dreaming it to be when you were young and in college, thinking about what it was going to be like to go into the workforce. And the naysayers just they really do make you stronger. That's how I view all of them that I encountered along my career. And I know I'm going to encounter more, but it makes you stronger. And in that moment, it's hard to see that. Mm-hmm. But once you get through it, and like you said, put your seatbelt on and just drive. Like once you get through it and you kind of see it in the rearview mirror, you're like, like I did that. And it makes you feel good. And it makes you feel like you can take on anything.
Yeah. And, I think as former athletes, you're faced with probably more failures than successes, right? I know in my sport of softball, one hits out of three is you're a huge success. but percentage wise, that's a failure, right?
Right.
You're out more times than you get on base. And I think the experience that I had at the University of Utah and being for a great majority of my time here, the only Black female athlete on this campus, really helped me through those struggles gain significant confidence, helped me to be in spaces that were very different than what I grew up in, and that nobody looked like me around the table or in the classroom, to voice my opinions and have a strong voice and thrive, even though one would say that there's no way that I would thrive in an environment that looked like the environment that I went through when I was here. That taught me a lot early on about resiliency, being strong in the moments. And really, it's, when people say that you're so positive, I had to be positive. I had to believe that I could thrive in this environment and I could excel in the classroom and on the field, and that I could stand up for myself when I know injustices were happening, that I could be a captain on this team when, there were people that were out to get me, that didn't want to see me succeed, that I could, really be a force to be reckoned with. And that's how I approached my experience at the University of Utah. And that really was the impetus for me to come back, because I wanted to pay it forward. This institution gave me a lot of opportunities that I probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise, albeit good or bad. And now I get the opportunity to pay it forward and really share my story with those that may be facing similar experiences when I was here.
I'm really glad you brought that up. So being in a situation where you are the only one, especially when you're younger, can be really, really challenging. And it sometimes can be damaging depending on how you move and how you get through it. Like, how did you come out successful? How did you come out? You were 2-time All-American, right? Sportswoman of the Year. So who did you rely on? What did you do to get through that?
You keep a very close circle. And for me, I had a coach that believed in me, who thought I could be something pretty darn great, that I could achieve greatness and really put the program on the map. And when I knew that she was in my camp, then I knew that she was all in to help me thrive and help me grow. That's all I needed. Young people just need people to believe in them. And we have a tendency to want to rescue them from adversity, but that's part of the growing that needs to happen in order to thrive. So my coach didn't rescue me from this environment that really could be incredibly difficult at times. What she did is she reminded me of how great I could be, of my potential, and she let me just soar. She let me just rise to the occasion and be great. And when I stumbled along the way, she was there to help me. She didn't rescue me. She was there to support me through it. And I think that that's what's really important, and why when I go back to talking about to my comments around living in the moment, I do not want to miss an opportunity to help a young person be the very best that they can be, because that's what my coach did for me. And I look back at those opportunities and I look back at those moments, and it really has helped me along the way in every career, every step along my 20 plus career in collegiate athletics.
Yes, I love that. So I'm hearing like rescue versus nurture, right?
Yes.
And she really just nurtured you. And God, it's so easy to fall as a leader, to fall into that trap of like rescue, because it makes you feel good when you help somebody, but that's not necessarily a good definition of leadership, right?
Right. Yes. And I think that we should be careful as leaders in wanting to jump in quickly because we believe someone is struggling and going through tough times. I think it's really important for us to say, we're here for you when you need us or when you need me, but not to assume that we have all the answers to get them out of the situation that they're in.
Yes, because really at the end of the day, leaders, we don't have all the answers. We may know how to approach things and ask the right questions, but not necessarily, you're not going to always have all the answers.
Right. And oftentimes people don't want answers. They just need a listening ear.
Yes.
Right.
I tell that to my husband all the time. all the time.
I love it. Yeah, they want someone that believes, that will listen, and perhaps maybe impart some knowledge when they ask us to, when they ask for guidance, but not to assume that that's what they're seeking all the time.
Yeah, I think that's great. So tell us, thinking about your career and imagining that it was predominantly male environment, and what was that like for you? What was your experience working in a male-dominated industry?
Certainly there's challenges, right? As you look to make a difference and be a decision maker, there are environments where people feel that they have all the answers and they know it all, and the information that I could provide perhaps isn't the information that they're seeking. But I think it's just remaining confident. And I have a lot of dear friends who are men in this business who have really helped to guide me, helped to provide me with the path to excel. And so I'm grateful for that. I think that, women are pretty phenomenal. And I think it behooves men to seek input from women in the business, because I think we have a lot of knowledge and that we can help men be better in their roles. So as long as it's cooperative, it's respectful and supportive, I think that we all can thrive and we all can excel in this business. But I think that if men don't believe that they can grow from input from women, then I think that they're selling themselves short. I love the fact that women are finding their way in college athletics and in sport in general. And I think that we certainly have played a role in the success of sport in college athletics. So those hiring managers, men, hire women. You need us, and we can help organizations and we can lead organizations. And so that's my little PR moment for you, Jahaan.
I love it. So what's interesting is you said, you need our input. And sometimes let me make sure I say this right. Sometimes people hire women to work in positions, but they don't give them, or just diverse candidates, period, right? And so they don't set them up for success. We need you, but not really. Or we need you, we're not going to put any systems in place that, help you or help you thrive. Like, what would you say to somebody who just kind of feels like they're stuck, whether the men that they're working with are sending them microaggressions, or the men that they're working with just don't really value their opinion and they can feel it. It's a real thing. What would you say? And I bring this up because we had a conversation last week, a happy hour that I hosted, and some of the women were like, I need some advice on how to handle these microaggressions at work. And it's just, I'm not in a good place. So I ask you, because it's top of mind, like, what advice would you give women if they felt like they were in that position?
Yeah, I think we all experience that all the time. And no matter what level we are, no matter where we're at in our careers, I always say to myself, I'm never stuck. If I am being led by someone who does not bring out the best in me, that does not see the value that I bring to the table, then it might not be the best situation for me. And so I need to look elsewhere. Not a lot of leaders have the ability to lead. They just been given the title without demonstrating the ability to lead diverse groups, to lead in ways that really allow their organization and those that work for them to really excel. And so I'd say you're never stuck. People are who they are. And we all can grow and learn, but if there are roadblocks that cannot be undone, they're going to be there no matter what you try to do, what you try to say, then move on. And it's easier said than done, but that confidence to say that this organization is not bringing out the best in me, or that there are such limitations that I'm not growing, then there are other leaders out there that will, invest in you, that will help you grow, that will give you the responsibilities that you need to learn the aspects of the job that's going to allow you to be the very best leader that you can possibly be. I don't have enough time, and I'm going to be quite frank, Jahaan, I don't have enough time in my career to allow years to go by being held back by someone that just cannot see the value that I bring to the table. So If that is the case, I need to do some self-evaluation of, is this the best circumstance, best situation for me?
Yes, that's good. I'm going to email everybody who's at the happy hour and make sure they listen to this. That's fantastic advice, because sometimes it does come down to it. Like, I have tried everything. I don't have time to waste. Like, right. Like you can keep trying. And next thing you know, it's been like 2 years of you trying to get them to listen, and they just they're not going to listen, and you can't change them. And you know what? That's okay. But just don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time. Your time is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Value your time, value what you bring to the table. I know my time is valuable. My time is short. When you think about the long span of one's life and the opportunity to really make a difference in any organization or career, your time is valuable. I deserve to be in an environment where I am valued, where I am cared about, where I can make a difference, where I can live out my dreams and aspirations and achieve my goals. I deserve that. You deserve that. I'm speaking to the audience. You deserve that. So don't spend your time trying to get someone to think differently when that's just not a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that's fantastic advice. Okay, I have one question for you. Are you ready for rapid fire questions?
I think so. I'll do my very best.
I always make people nervous with the way I say it. It's easy. 12 questions. All you have to do is tell us the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite sports moment?
The 56 inning championship that University of Utah played in to advance to the regionals and then the College World Series.
I'm sorry, did you say 56 innings?
Yes, 56 innings. Look it up, Jahaan. It's still in the record books. It was, we advanced and we won. We played through the night, finished up at 8:30 in the morning. We ended up winning the WAC championship, advanced to regionals, beat Texas A&M at regionals, and advanced to the Women's College World Series.
Now, when we talk about sports in our teams, we always say we, even though we didn't play. But did you play in this 56 inning game?
I played in it, all 56 innings.
Oh, yes. My goodness. Okay, we're going to link to that in the show notes. That's a good one. All right. What is something people always get wrong about you?
I'm too nice.
What is one food you wouldn't want to give up?
Mexican food.
Are you a morning or a night person?
Morning.
What is your favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
I'm very interested in this next question because I don't believe that it's anything, but what job would you absolutely be horrible at doing?
Oh, anything that's dealing with snakes. So I can't go out and be the keeper of the trails or anything like that, because I'm deathly fearful of snakes.
No, I've never been to Utah, but are there a lot of snakes out there?
Yes. And I love hiking, but I'm always on alert and making sure that I do not stumble upon a snake, because I would die. It would not have to waste its venom on me.
I hope you don't see any snakes. What product would you seriously stockpile if you found out they were going out of business?
Peanut butter.
What is your favorite app?
Oh, my goodness. Amazon.
Yes. Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram?
I'm old school, Facebook.
Okay. Who is your biggest inspiration in life?
My mother.
As a child, what did you wish to become when you grew up?
A singer.
Oh.
I cannot sing.
Oh.
But I would love, gosh, I always dream about being a singer, even today.
That's incredible. And then finish this sentence. The future of women working in sports is?
Great.
Amen to that. This conversation has been such a treat, and so many good nuggets and lessons learned. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
They can reach out, send a note via email to cgreen, CGREEN @utah.edu.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Jahaan. You're so much fun. I really appreciate you having me on.
So what did you think of this episode? Do you know another woman who works or is aspiring to work in sports? Would you do me a favor and share this with them? It would mean so much if together we could support and inspire other women on their journey. And let's stay connected. I love meeting and talking to new people. Follow me on Instagram at Jahaan Blake and join the free Game of Her Own community by visiting jahaanblake.com. I can't wait to meet you.